Hey everybody, Eric Switzer here for another TG Roundtable, joined today by my two illustrious co-hosts, Stacey Henley.
Hello.
And George Foster.
Yo, I just copied Stace, but yep, that's what we're doing. Hello,
We're
everyone.
here for the Nintendo Direct, and gamers, is this a safe space?
It's as safe as you want it to be. Do you have thoughts on Nintendo?
I'm a little bit embarrassed by how psyched I was about this Nintendo Direct.
Okay. I thought you were going to be more controversial and say it wasn't.
So did I. They're going to say this was the worst Nintendo Direct there's ever been.
I couldn't be there for that's too much energy for me.
Man, I was watching this thing, pumping my fists, high-fiving a million angels. Like, I think part of it is I had no expectations. Actually, I had very low. I'll take that back. I had very low expectations because 100%. First they said no Super Switch reveal. And we know this is for sure the last year of the Switch. So I was like, okay, so it's 40 minutes long, which means we're going to get 20 minutes of Luigi's Mansion 2 HD and then ports of old JRPGs and farming sims.
Yep.
And I don't like any of those things. I don't like a single one of those things I just mentioned.
You don't like Luigi's Mansion?
Nah.
I mean, I don't either.
Two is the you don't agree with them anyway. I do like it, but 2 is my least favorite.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
At all. I think they're boring and slow.
So like generally Nintendo Directs do nothing for me. Except for like the one game that looks cool, and then I just sort of fade through the rest of it. But then this whole thing, wow. Let me just say, wow. Am I alone in wowing?
No, it was pretty wow.
Very impressive. But I'm not as into Nintendo as a lot of people. And I guess in a specific way. I feel like Fire Emblem and Pokemon. Pokemon always gets its own thing, so it's never there. I thought it was really, really impressive. A really big like show of the, not necessarily diversity, because there's a lot of Mario, but just the range of ideas that it has at Nintendo. They don't seem to rely on like one blockbuster, like Mario Luigi RPG, Mario Party. These aren't necessarily kind of AAA's headliners, the way we think of Xbox and PlayStation having their specific go-to franchises. Yeah. If you ask someone to name their favorite game featuring Mario, they'd name 20 before they named Mario and Luigi. But it just feels better because you know it's going to be interesting. You know it's going to have a little bit of that, I don't know, Nintendo magic to it. Every time they show something off that they've actually prepared for, and it's not just here's some farming sims. When they really want to impress you, they just know how to, in ways that I think the rest of the studios in game, and whether it be Sony and Xbox, whether it be like Ubisoft doing its own, nobody can wow a crowd like Nintendo. I don't really know what it is about them. It's just something about a Nintendo game.
I mean, a lot of it is the surprise. Like I said, like you really don't expect much from the 8th year of the Switch before the next Switch comes out. But then like huge bangers, huge names, really exciting stuff. So I think like being able to surprise people is a lot of Nintendo's charm. But you were talking about Mario and Luigi Brothership. I think we should start there because I love the brothers. Yeah, that was the first trailer. I've always loved the brothers. I don't like all of those games. I have not even finished all of them, but the first one has always been pretty special to me, and I loved the pixel art of that game. That's gone for obvious reasons. This, I think, is doing a pretty good job of capturing that aesthetic but in a 3D way. Maybe not the aesthetic, but the
vibes.
The attitude, right?
The squash and stretch is amazing. I love the animation. It's so cool.
It's a little bittersweet to see the brothers back because Alpha Dream doesn't exist anymore.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's Nintendo, we have no idea who's making this game.
That is their worst trend. I have no clue why they hide this sort of thing, because especially with something like this, like the reaction has been nothing but positive. People want to know who's making it and be, well, I'd like to say supportive, but maybe not everyone. But I just don't get what they gain from hiding that.
They didn't even tell us who the new Mario was. We didn't find out who Mario was until somebody beat Super Mario Wonder. And saw it in the credits.
It's such a strange way of doing it. I guess whatever works for them, but this looks cool.
No, not really. Not really whatever works for them. This is just bad. It's a bad thing to do. Credit the people that make your games. But yeah, I will be playing the Brothership. I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I did not play the Paper Mario crossover. I thought it looked bad.
That's the only Paper Mario I've never played, I think. I was just going to say, I always consider it to be a little bit of the cousin of Paper Mario, and I've always preferred Papes, but I haven't played the crossover.
No, I didn't know they did that. That's cool.
Paper Jam, I think.
It's ringing kind of a bell. Go on.
All right. Man, where should we jump from here? I was thinking, let's not do all the big ones right up front, but it's like all big ones. So let's talk about Zelda.
Yes. Yeah, Zelda looks
The
very
Legend
cool.
of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. That was a very clever trailer because it looks like it could just be another remake. It's the same style as the Link's Awakening remake. Yeah. So initially you're like, oh, what is this? Is this a Link to the Past? Which one is it? But then Link falls into the void, and Zelda is our hero, and Zelda has some very interesting abilities.
Yeah, she can copy a table over and over again. It's not go crazy.
What's interesting?
No, go on.
Okay. No. I want to hear this, but let me defend myself for saying it's interesting. For saying the Zelda game looks interesting. It feels like it's borrowing the flexibility and expressive type of gameplay from the new 3D games from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
that's sort of like leaning into solving puzzles in creative ways. So that's cool. But you're just a big old Zelda hater anyway.
I'm not a massive fan of Zelda, no. But I to be honest, I watched it. This is a Zelda game that I would be interested in playing. I have played Link's Awakening, the remake version.
Such a good game.
So I liked that. I don't particularly like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. They just don't click for me. I've read some of the things that you've written about the way it offers player freedom. But every time I play it, I find it just a bit too expansive and a bit too empty. I think it's a little bit too light on what you put into it. Having said that, I do think there's no way for Zelda as a series to go now. It needs to take that level of creativity. That has become Zelda's unique angle that it has, that you can play the game your way, that you've got endless possibilities. So I do think being able to take that into other Zelda games, into smaller spin-offs, instead they're not going to do a true sequel to Tears of the Kingdom, they're going to do a reboot, as Zelda's done many times before, and make a completely new series. I think they need to keep that level of creativity, and they can't go back to being, a pretty good RPG with dungeon crawling and saving the village. There needs to be a level of non-linearity to it. Yeah. I think that's a cool idea, and I was interested in playing it. I do think if this wasn't Zelda, people would be less impressed by the mechanic, because it says you can save spells, you can do whatever you want. And I was like, I wonder what you can do with that. And she just goes, I can't climb this ledge. I'll make a table. I still can't climb this ledge. Another table. And then she climbs the ledge. That to me was not a very interesting piece of gameplay. And that's kind of my problem with Zelda as a whole. They show you these cars, and then they go there's a wheel and a barrier. You play 20 hours, you can maybe make a second wheel. And I'm just It's just, I will play this one. I'll probably like it a lot more than Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. And I certainly don't want to dampen anyone's enthusiasm for it, because this is a game that I think actually looks pretty cool. I do think copying the tables is a bit dull.
Yes. Well, I think when they revealed Ultra Hand and the one where you attach out Fuse. When they revealed Fuse, they were
sucked.
Look, you can put a stick on a stick.
That's
and it was
true.
Way cooler than that. The way that they first reveal these things is the simplest, most uncreative way just to sort of sell the idea of look how many tables you can make.
I do think that's fair. The original Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was just you can stick your sword on a stick and it'll be a bigger sword. And I was like, why? That's just a spear. They already exist in games. You just made a glaive. That's fine.
I hate to agree with Stacey, but I
do it.
like the look of it for
Why?
puzzles. Because I don't like agreeing with you on Zelda, because I do like Zelda, and I don't want to give into it. But in terms of combat, I think I'd prefer a more traditional approach than just summon stuff and chuck it. Like that's my only thing so far, is that combat seems less exciting because of it. I'd rather have like a sword. I know that makes me boring, but that's what I'm there for, I guess.
Yeah. Is there any feelings about like now that you're playing a woman and she can't just have a sword? Like Princess Peach Showtime has to be a dress-up game.
I quite like the way Princess Peach works. I know we're talking about Zelda. I quite like the way Princess Peach works. And the first costume she wears is a sword fighter. Peach does get a sword in that. She's more aggressive than Mario. She's I can say cowboy, a cowgirl.
She assassinates people.
She was a ninja. She does kung fu stuff. I like the way they did it in Princess Peach overall. And I think because Zelda's an established character, she's not really a sword wielder. This is one of the critiques that it's rare that I agree with the chuds, but I do kind of see the point when they did the Mario movie and they were like, and Peach is a warrior. No, she's not. That's not Peach. That's not Peach's deal.
Yeah.
She doesn't need to have an axe that she wields. That's not what Peach does. So I don't mind Zelda having different powers as long as they're used in a way that feels like they have agency and they're true to the world. The original Princess Peach game famously had Peach has different emotions that she uses as powers.
Yeah.
I felt was a little trite, and I wouldn't say dated. It was pretty dated at the time. It certainly dated now when you look back on it. But the new Peach game, it did let her be aggressive. It did let her have combat. And it felt like it suited her because it was very theatrical. Yeah. If this new version of play suits Zelda, I think that works. I also think, and I really love this direct. I don't want to dampen it by complaining about Zelda, because I understand that everyone loves Zelda and I am an outlier. But when the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom came out, everyone was like, playable Zelda, finally playable Zelda, it's going to be the best game ever, playable Zelda. And he couldn't play as her, and everyone was just like, that's fine, I don't really want to. You know what I mean? That's fine, I love being Link B. So I feel like they just got to pass. They're going to pass for telling you, playable Zelda, and then taking it away. So I'm really glad that the next game they've come out with is unabashedly a playable Zelda game. I think that's a good direction for the series to go in. I think it would almost be worse if she was just palette swapped Link. She needs to be different. She is different. She's been different for 25 years or longer. I don't mind.
To that point, Zelda, speaking of someone who plays Smash more than they play Zelda games, Zelda has always been using magic, summoning phantoms, using reflect, stuff like that. So it does fit her personality and style that we've seen so far. Like, even if I don't find that as engaging in Echoes of Wisdom, or at least from the looks of it, like, it is true to Zelda.
I think it'll depend on how aggressive the world is. If the world still throws up the same level of threat that Link faces, presumably take place in Hyrule, I know every Hyrule is kind of different for Zelda, but
apparently Link to the Past Hyrule.
Right, so I have no idea what that means. It takes place in Hyrule, which means there's going to be baddies. If there are bad guys for Zelda to fight, then I think that's fine. If they go, this is a nicer version of Hyrule where everyone gets along and there's just kind of differences. You have to talk them out.
Friendly Hyrule.
You can, magic up a cup of tea and soothe things over. That'll be the difference, really. It's not that Zelda can't be aggressive, it's whether the world is aggressive towards her.
I think the concern is that instead of having a sword or a magic wand or something, she just copies a bad guy and then summons a bad guy to fight other bad guys. So it might be kind of a passive.
She is a monarch, and therefore colonizing other people and forcing them to fight for her does seem exactly like what a princess would do. In fact, that's what she does with Link. What she done with Link for their entire relationship.
Sit,
fight for me, minion.
Very good. Let's touch on a couple things that are shorter that I don't have much to say about. The Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake and Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D coming next year. This is something people are very excited about, and that is just has completely passed me by my entire life.
Yeah, I've never played a
but
Dragon
happy
Quest
for
properly.
him.
Yep.
Yeah, same.
I was convinced, because there's been rumors for a long time that they're going to be remaking Fire Emblem 4. I was convinced when it came on, this is Fire Emblem 4. Fire Emblem 4 is coming up finally, and then I can't remember what he's called, but the Dragon Quest fella.
Eldrick, I think his name is.
He pops up, and I'm like, guess it's Dragon Quest.
I really want to get into this. Love it.
That's how I feel, basically.
Yeah. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD.
Down B.
We're just never gonna get a new Donkey Kong, I guess.
It's a very good Donkey Kong.
Yeah, it's great. It's just 10 years or something since we've had a Donkey Kong game. Like, I know that a lot of Nintendo games are like this. We're gonna talk about Metroid soon, but like, and it's a 3DS game, so more people are gonna get to play it now. But like, will they? Like, that trailer has like no views compared to everything else in the showcase. And do people even care? Am I the last Donkey Kong lover?
I think if
I'm excited.
Game, it would have had a huge reaction. I really do think it's a sleeping giant of a series. But it's a 3DS game that's been ported. Was it on the Wii U?
It was Wii for. It was on the.
Oh, it was on the Wii. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was the Wii, then the 3DS. It didn't come to Wii U, and this is the first time on Switch.
Right.
So I've never played it.
This is the third console it's arrived on, and it came out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's like the 10th most interesting thing at the showcase. Yeah. Makes it okay.
Yeah.
I'm hyped. Donkey Kong.
And this is the 3DS version, because the 3DS one had more levels.
Yeah, I think so, because it looks worse as well. I saw some Twitter thread saying these colors suck, these enemies don't go right. I'm like, bloody hell!
I saw that thread too, and I was like, "What are you talking about, dude?" It was the weird. It was like they've completely changed the barrel bombs.
Yeah, the stars aren't as apparent. I'm like, okay.
I was like, dude, do you not want more Donkey Kong? Because this is how you make sure you don't get more Donkey Kong. Okay, okay. Here's something exciting I can complain about.
Oh,
Super Mario Party Jamboree. Now this is a Super Mario Party. We're finally getting a real full Mario Party. I feel like we've had 4 in a row that were like, you get 4 boards and 17 mini games, and you like it. And like, or like one that's just the old ones, nothing new in it. But this one, it has like 7 boards. It's got like 200 mini games. It's got a new 20-player mode.
Yeah.
Like, this is a whole game. And I love Mario Party. And the thing I'm going to complain about is that
I hate Mario Party.
Oh, okay.
I love Mario Party. Keep going.
Okay, take a lap, George. The fact that just like every single multiplayer Nintendo game, a month after it comes out, you're never going to find a match online. And 20-player online, like, they need big lobbies. That's a lot of people that you need in a match. And it's just going to get no support, and it's going to die. And they're going to have no updates, no battle pass. This is the battle pass-iest Nintendo game in the world. If you just slapped a battle pass on this thing and it was just like, this month is the cowboy theme, and you can unlock a cowboy hat for all your characters to wear, like, it would be so easy to keep this thing running so that people can find online games.
Switch
6 months
does that
after.
To an extent. It's difficult to get games on Switch Sports, but you still can do. I know that we had a Switch Sports at the Direct.
Yeah.
I still play Switch Sports semi-regularly.
Really?
You can. Yeah, I love Switch Sports. I loved Wii Sports. Wii Sports isn't in my top 10 of all time. Switch Sports is not close, but I don't have.
Oh yeah, anymore, I didn't think you were that big on it.
Oh yeah. I don't like Switch Sports that much, but I still play it because I like playing those kind of sports games. And that still gets a decent bit of sport every week, but it lasts for 3 weeks, so it rolls. So there's 52 across the year. There's a different battle pass, but there's only 52. So like, I've unlocked most of them now. So if I go on now in the summer, because it came out in the summer, there's like nothing for me to unlock. But if I go on in like February, I haven't unlocked any of the February ones. So it's not perfect, but I think there's a way for them to do it.
I think they need to do it. I mean, 20-player lobbies. When you play Switch Sports, you just need one other person to play with, maybe 4 people, right?
Yeah, as Switch Sports, you can just play one-on-one in certain game modes. For the biggest game at the minute is football. Well, bowling, actually. Bowling needs 20. But I don't know how many of them are bots. I really don't know.
Yeah.
And the bots in Mario Party suck as well. Like I've tried that before. It's just they're awful. So
right. I really like the idea. Like the way they presented it made it seem like those 20 people are broken up into like 5 individual boards of 4 people, and so 4 different games are happening. But then when you go to the mini game, there's like 20 player mini games, and you've got the score for everybody's on one scoreboard.
Yeah. I wonder how that'll work with friends. Is a new big thing with Mario Party. We a while ago, actually for the site, tried to play Super Mario together, Mario Wonder together, and it was all truly awful. I know Nintendo's got some decent play with friends, but I think Splatoon's pretty good.
Splatoon's really good.
But if you're going to have these big lobbies, not that I have 20 friends or 19 friends, but enough to get kind of a big group, I would want to be able to join with people, because that was something that we struggled with a little bit when we did Switch. George, you and I played Switch Sports, and it's difficult to find like team up games like that.
Yeah.
There was a way we could all drop in, but we couldn't. There was 4 of us, which is the amount you need for a soccer, as they call it, a soccer team. But we couldn't all be on the same team. We could just all play at the same time. Really we ended up in the same match. It was odd, and I would want that for Mario Party. I wouldn't want, if we played with 4 of us, I wouldn't want each of us in a different board with different randoms. I'd want us in our own board.
Yeah, that's true.
Then we play the mini games, right?
Playing against, yeah.
I'd like to have hope, but no, Nintendo will just be
random and
odd and bad. Yeah. I like Nintendo, but their online sucks.
I was impressed with how much we got from the Mario Party trailer.
Yeah, me too. I was like, wow, this looks like such a great Mario Party. And then immediately I was like, oh, Nintendo's going to ruin it. Like, the online's going to be so bad.
It's Mario Party. It was already ruined. Hot take.
All right, moving on. The Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, Arcade Classics. Huge.
Boy. Yes.
Huge news.
No, I actually didn't realize how big of news this was. Like I was kind of like, oh cool, they're back, but then I realized that it had been like 9 years since you couldn't play them.
Yeah, this was like lost media. Yeah. That's crazy to think. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was lost media for like a decade.
Yep.
That's so crazy. Yeah. This is super cool, and it's getting a physical release, so
thank God.
will not be lost. Not coming to Xbox is the big talking point.
Yeah, that's weird. It's apparently the MT framework. Like, I don't really understand the mechanics of it, but
there's a few games recently that we saw at the showcase that are skipping Xbox. I do think I know Baldur's Gate was an exception. With it doesn't need parity for the S and the X, but I do wonder if that's starting to become a little bit of an albatross for Xbox. I've always recommended people to get the Xbox S. If you want to get into this generation of games, it has Game Pass, which Xbox seemed to be investing in, not so much now. PlayStation didn't really have very many exclusives. The Switch is not a current gen console, I wouldn't call it. But I do worry if Xbox being so willing to cater to that middle ground of gamers is holding Xbox as a whole back, because Xbox is very insistent that if you are coming out on Xbox, you are releasing on X and S, no exceptions. But I struggle to believe that with a game that also comes to Switch.
Yeah,
I buy it for Baldur's Gate. I don't buy it. And it's not even a game that's coming to Switch. Like 15-year-olds,
right?
Xbox can run this thing. I don't know all the ins and outs of the tech of it, but it would be disappointing if I was the kind of person who was an Xbox fan. And I don't say that as a journalist who hates them. I say that as a normal person who is not a fan of corporations or machines.
It seems like one of those things where they will announce the Xbox One and it'll be a big crowd-pleasing moment.
I don't know. People are really mad about this.
Yeah.
Like this is the most I've seen people react negatively to a game not being on Xbox in a while.
I know.
So
I know.
They have the chance.
It's just one of those things where it's like I have everything, so none of that ever phases me at all.
No, same. I agree.
So, but yeah, this is 7 games, and it's a bunch of the fighting games: the X-Men vs. Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom, and then
the Punisher. Weirdly,
Children of the Atom.
Yeah, I've played that one.
That's one I played a lot. Yeah, this is very cool, and it's got rollback netcode and all the like modern online stuff that you would want. So, yep, super cool. We got a bunch of stuff coming to Nintendo Switch Online. bunch of good stuff, right? Perfect Dark, Turok.
No, you're excited about this, Stace.
Metroid Zero Mission, Four Swords. So 3 good ones.
Apparently, Perfect Dark's not very good though, right? I've heard there's some issues with that.
Yeah, it's not running great. Just because it had the I can't remember why it happened in the game, but there's like a bit where the screen's supposed to wobble. It's not before the days of like motion blur and stuff, but it just doesn't really hold up very well on the Switch. And I wrote about this recently as well. It's an odd one because we discussed this actually, Eric, last week about the Xbox showcase, and you and Jade were, Perfect Dark, and I was like, no. This is not a Perfect Dark game.
I thought it looked really good. I missed
it. It looks great. It looks like a really great video game that shouldn't be called Perfect Dark. I don't see a lot of the original Perfect Dark in the trailer. It looks cool. I'm going to play it. I hope it, I mentioned Carrington, obviously the Joanna's there. She's British again. So there's bits that I like of it. But I kind of, it'd be interesting if people who are really jazzed about the trailer for the new one, the reboot, go back and play the original. They won't see a lot of what they saw in the trailer, and I don't think that's a good way to prepare for the new game coming out. Like, we've got a new Dragon Age coming out. It's a big ask, but if you play through the Dragon Age games, they'll follow on. They'll make sense. They'll link up. But I think if you were to play through Perfect Dark and then the sequel, which changed things again, I think it's almost better. And I haven't played the new one, so I don't know, but I feel like it'll be better to go into the new one a bit blind, just because they're changing so much with it in the reboot. So it's kind of an odd timing to have the new one be more readily, have the old one, more readily available at a time when people finally care about the new one, and then realize they're completely different games.
I've never played Perfect Dark, but I like the look of the new one, I guess.
Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. This is so cool. I love this. Were either of you familiar with Nintendo World Championships?
No, I wasn't even sure. Okay. I think they just made up to like.
Yeah.
This is actually, I believe, unless something has changed, this is the most expensive video game in the world.
Wow.
Because when they hosted the Nintendo World Championships, they sent these special cartridges out to the competitors so that they could practice. Right. And there's only like 15 of them or something.
Yeah.
So there is a non-competitor version of it that you could have gotten, but the competitor version is like crazy expensive. But this is really cool. They take all these levels from all these classic NES games, Mario and Metroid and Kirby and everything, and they make them like timed speedrunning challenges. And they were played at an actual World Championship Nintendo tournament in like 92 or something. But this new one has a whole bunch of new features. It's got like rewind, and it's got guides that you can pop open if you get stuck. That'll show you routes. And the coolest thing is it does like a battle royale mode where you have like, I don't know how many people, 100 people online, and you play your level, and whoever's the slowest gets eliminated.
Okay.
Nintendo have done this before, right? What was that called? They did something like this before.
The elimination ring, I don't know if you like that.
No. Like it was a collection of classic games that you could do challenges for. I think it was on 3DS. It's gonna bug me.
I don't know.
Sega did anything like that before. I can't remember how the challenger, but Sega had a few like Sega collections.
Maybe I'm thinking of Sega. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. Well, but I think. Yeah.
The Cap, I think it's called the Capcom collection, right?
Yeah. This is such a Nintendo thing. This is the Nintendo-iest thing in this whole show, I think. Like adding cool modern features for such a niche interest in video games and using all these classic Nintendo games for it. I love it.
Maybe that's why Nintendo Directs have that power, because like I don't care at all, but the stuff I really cared about, and we all went kind of Dragon Quest 2D, HD, 3, but people will have saw that and will have lost their minds there. So I think when Nintendo shows up with a big one, they've just, even though there's like 6 Mario things in here, they feel so varied because they do go for deep cuts. and they're so fond of their history in a way that I think maybe these other franchises aren't.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I remembered what it was called. It's Ultimate NES Remix. That's what they did.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of the same.
But that's
concept.
not just like a collection of games that
but they also had like special challenge modes that remix the levels a bit. It was pretty cool, actually. Yeah. But so that's why I wasn't as impressed. They've kind of just done this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of those things where even if you're not interested, it's still a cool thing that it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Ultimate NES Remix.
Nintendo Switch Sports is getting basketball.
Oh yeah.
Free update.
Yeah.
Is that enough?
Stace, I guess.
I can't imagine people care very much about Switch Sports, but if I can soapbox for just a second, basketball was the best game in in Wii Sports Resort, and it always really surprised and a little bit annoyed me that they brought out Switch Sports, which was supposed to be the next generation of things, and at first it only had 6 sports in it. Sports Resort, I think, had 16. So big downgrade. No mini games, just play the game, and that's all you had to do. Play the game with people online as well. It wasn't even really an offline mode where you could practice in a way that you could in the old games where you leveled up. So they've added golf since, brings them to 7. Basketball brings them to 8. That's still half of what Resort had. Does add a mini game, so there's something to it. Everything about basketball looks cooler than the fact that it's 3 years too late, I think. 2 years too late. I would have loved this at launch, and I think this is the sort of thing I wanted Switch Sports to be built around. I think that's why the soccer game is so popular, because it's different, it's vibrant, it works in an online way that you couldn't really do with the older games. It's a shame that instead we got tennis and badminton and volleyball, which are essentially the same thing when you play with a remote in your hand and you just kind of whack it up and down in the air.
Okay. Something called Fantasia, which is a mobile game.
Apple Arcade, meant to be quite good.
Fantasia it's by the Neo Dimension.
The creator of Final Fantasy, who I can't remember the name of right now. But it's supposed to be amazing. That people have wanted it off Apple Arcade for like 2 or 3 years now. So that is a pretty big deal.
It's
not
like
really
the game of Apple Arcade, isn't it?
Yeah. It should be Rayman Mini, but it is Fantasia.
I'll check it out.
There was a Tales of the Shire, The Lord of the Rings game.
Yeah.
No, or is it A Lord of the Rings? No, it's The Lord of the Rings. Weird. Trailer.
Yep.
Their Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
That was there as well.
Kona Switch, we knew that. Disney Illusion Island got a free update. Cool. New story content. Boy, there was quite a lull in this show, wasn't there?
Yeah. I thought you were just trying to ramp up to the big reveal that you're excited for, but I guess I am.
Because a lot of this is losing me. Luigi's Mansion 2 HD.
Knew about just
more Funko Fusion.
Looks
bad on
pretty
Switch.
Bad, I'm afraid. I was going to say I really like Funko. I caught myself. It's not what I want to say. I still do have a couple of Funkos up here. Like I kind of like the cultural ubiquityness. Ubiquity? Something. I like that they've basically gone big ugly heads with massive black eyes. That's us. Everyone in the world recognizes the Funko Pop, and I do think in this kind of modern era, that's pretty impressive to have a distinct look that everyone knows. And the idea of playing through a video game with different levels, it has potential, especially since it's by the Lego people. But oh my god, the trailer doesn't look good.
No. Trailer looked bad, but I will say I watched like maybe an hour of this for a preview. I don't think I've talked about this.
No.
But there's some interesting things about this game. They are accurately recreating scenes and sequences from these movies. And by accurate, I mean like in the level for the thing, they built the base to scale with the exact layout. Like why? I don't know, but it's kind of cool. And it has the system where as you progress through the game, you collect things that will let you go back into older levels and find new secrets, and a lot of times those secrets are portals to other levels. So hidden in the thing level is a Shaun of the Dead level, and it's a fully recreated the street
I was
from
just
Shaun
gonna
of the
ask,
Dead.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
How do they do Hot Fuzz? I like Hot Fuzz.
They also do Hot Fuzz. Yeah, the games they chose for this the IP they chose for this are bizarre. It's like Battlestar Galactica and He-Man. It really feels like it's the director's special interests. Yeah. I don't know who's like dying for like Funko Pop Xena Warrior Princess video game, but that's this. Yeah.
This trailer was bad though. That sounds more interesting than it looked, but this trailer, it just doesn't look like it can work well on the Switch.
That's a big problem for a lot of these. Yeah, like the Switch is like great and all, but it's just not a very good video game machine. It's very good at making its own stuff, but playing other people's games, it's bad at. And I think it's a bit of a whiff for Funko to have, had its big. I know it's been revealed before, but really trying to press itself upon the world while looking like a Switch game.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, like Link's Awakening had horrible frame rate issues. That game really chugged when I played it. And now this new one is, as far as I can tell, using the same engine, right? I mean, it looks just like Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Same engine plus a million beds spawned. I think it has the capacity to be a mess because that's kind of the freedom of it, right? Like Tears of the Kingdom, you could absolutely break and turn into a slideshow if you did everything, like if you piled stuff up. So I feel like that's inevitable here.
Too many
it just doesn't seem like a game that. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't seem like a game that should really overload the Switch. Link's Awakening didn't. I was like, why is my frame rate dipping so hard? Okay, Metal Slug Attack Reloaded is a tower defense Metal Slug game.
Okay, now I'll soapbox. I love Metal Slug, the original ones.
Really?
I know that comes as a surprise. I think it was included on some collection of games long ago on the PS2, and I just really liked it. I don't know why. I think it was the weird faces on the select screen that just got me, and the animations are so cool. It feels like they want to do everything with Metal Slug, but Metal Slug lately. Like we had the tactical one, now a tower defense one. I don't know if they're the same thing, but I'm pretty sure they're two different things. I just want a Metal Slug game. So like it's cool. I'm really happy for it, but I like these kind of things like spin-offs that do look good to complement like the main series getting any kind of entry. And I feel like we haven't had a new Metal Slug that isn't on mobile or isn't locked behind some weird SNK console or whatever. We haven't had that in ages, I feel.
Metal Slug 7 was 2008 for the
Yes, I am correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to fact check you. We got the Metal Slug X, which was a remake of, I guess, the first one in 2017.
What was that for?
For the Switch?
Oh,
I'm sorry. That's Metal Slug 2. Metal Slug X is Metal Slug 2 in 2017, and then in 2019 we got Metal Slug XX, which is a remake of Metal Slug 7.
Weird. This looked cool. I don't know why I've instantly started off negative. That's not like me at all. But I would just like a new normal one at some point, please.
Did cool. Tactics has
Tactics
not
is
come out yet?
Yeah, it got announced last year.
That's weird. Yeah, it hasn't come out yet, but they showed a different Metal Slug in this showcase than the one that's about to come out.
Yeah, and this one's out now as well. Pretty sure.
And that one's out now?
The one they showed at the Direct is out now. Yeah. Weird, right? See?
Bizarre.
Confusing time for Metal Sluggers.
All right. We've spent enough time on Metal Slug. I apologize. Darkest Dungeon's coming to Switch, and then Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports.
At least you can play as Daffy Duck.
Looked really bad.
Yeah, it does look really bad.
Why did it look so bad?
I hate this style.
It looked ugly.
It
had 4 sports. It's less than Switch Sports. It didn't have any online play. If you told me we're doing a Looney Tunes sports game, I would have been into it. I would have expected it to be kind of a little bit meh, I've played Multiverses. Oh. I know what Looney Tunes is putting down, but I think this was expectations formed instantly in my brain as I saw the trailer, and it continued to dip below them as the trailer went on.
Yeah, this is somebody making a game the way people make games for the Super Nintendo, I think.
Yes.
Daffy Duck is in it?
Yeah, Daffy Duck's in it. That's the third time you've said that.
It's important to note.
He's not in Multiverses, that's the thing.
Multiverses fans have to hear this. That could be the convincer. But no, this does look bad. I won't even try and defend it.
Okay, we're almost done. Stray is coming to Switch. I can't believe it wasn't on Switch already.
I can't. It looked awful. Graphically,
I've never got the appeal for that game.
I liked it on PS5. I didn't know it should be up for Game of the Year, which it was, but I liked it enough. It was fine.
Mio Memories in Orbit is a new Metroidvania.
Look cool.
Need more of those in our life. Not enough of those in the indie scenes, what I'm always saying. More roguelikes, more Metroidvanias. Give me some deck builders, baby.
There was an Among Us update.
Yep.
Just Dance. Ace Attorney Investigations Collection. I don't know the investigation games.
So this is a big deal, apparently.
In the collection, only one of them has ever been available in the West.
Yeah.
So the other ones, it's the Miles Edgeworth games. And I'm going a little bit off what I've heard from people because I'm not a big Ace Attorneys fan. Not that I hate it, I'm not as into it as other people. But this collection, it's the first time all these games are going to be available in the West. Now, I understand that the fan versions are pretty widely distributed, so like if you were properly into the series, you've probably already played them through fan translations. But a pretty big moment for Ace Attorney, because I think it's been growing in terms of how Nintendo sees it. You know, its position. I know it's not a Nintendo game, but you know what I mean? Like how it feels like it belongs on the Switch a little bit. It seems like it's gone from being more of an outsider game into coming a little bit more into the mainstream. I think if its next game, its next proper game, lands just right, it's probably due a kind of Yakuza Like a Dragon style moment when it bursts from being popular with a specific type of gamer who searches out different things into breaking into the mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if it was on the Switch too or something. I think that it could really land.
Yeah. Ace Attorney,
I hope it does.
Whatever it'll be, 6 or 7 or 8 or 15. I have no idea how many games they are, but if the next numbered main one has a big launch and can latch itself into a decent time in the calendar, maybe it's a breakout waiting to happen.
Okay, I'm going to say the names of 6 JRPGs, and somebody jump in if they have something to say about any of these.
Okay.
Phantom Brave, The Lost Hero.
No.
Tactical turn-based from the Disgaea, which I've never known how to say right. Farmigia.
Weird name, but no.
The 100-Line Last Defense Academy. Romancing Saga 2, Revenge of the Seven.
I at least know what that one is. That's
Alvarez Empire. Oh, no. Sorry. It's called Fairy Tale 2.
Oh, what?
Yeah, the Fairy Tale game.
They don't look very good.
And okay. Never heard of it. And the new Dempa Men. Okay.
I'm sure I'll watch this direct, you know.
And, which brings us to Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Okay. Whew. Okay. All right, y'all.
Here we go.
Okay.
It's
7
coming.
years. 7 years. Or 17 years from Metroid Prime 3. You gotta have a lot of patience to be a Nintendo fan. You gotta have a lot of patience to be a Metroid fan. What can I say? Silex is back. I wrote about this guy in this trailer. The villain of this game. Do you guys have any idea what I'm talking about?
He's Metroid Prime Hunters, right?
We don't know the lore.
This is very stupid. They're Metroid Prime 1, Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3, right? In between 2 and 3, they made a DS game that takes place in between 1 and 2 called Metroid Prime Hunters. It's a first-person shooter where you use your stylus to aim.
I think you've told me this before, actually.
It's very not good. I love it. In that game, which has no bearing on any of the Metroid lore at all, there are a group of rival bounty hunters that you encounter. And it has this mechanic where, like, as you're playing through the game, they'll just ambush you randomly. Like, you never know when or which one is gonna show up and fight you. One of those dudes, who does not really have a story, or none of them do, they're all generic bounty hunters. One of those dudes shows up in the post-credit scene of Metroid Prime 3 completely randomly. Oh, who's that guy? Is that one of the guys from Metroid Prime Hunters? Then years later, they made Federation Force. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah, I do.
This was the co-op Metroid that Samus is not in. Well, Samus is the final boss of this game.
The backlash.
It's like the chibi Metroid game.
Yeah.
And that game has a post-credit scene, and guess who shows up?
Biding his time.
This nerd.
So, yeah.
Look at this guy.
So basically, this is a character who has no story, no dialogue, no anything, who has showed up in the 2 Metroid spin-offs, but only in the post-credit scene. Like, very weird.
It's very Kingdom Hearts to me.
Very
like
weird.
It.
Yeah. So
very
now positioned
Deathstroke
as...
and Argon.
Yeah.
God,
at least people know who Deathstroke is. Silex is the Deathstroke of Metroid Prime. That's a feature. I saw people being like, wow, I can't believe how good this looks on the Switch. And I thought it just looked like a Switch game, to be honest. I thought it looked fine.
I think it looks good for a Switch game, but we also had the Metroid Prime.
I didn't look at it and think the Switch 2 has arrived, baby.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it was going to be later, just because it's Metroid Prime. It was never going to arrive on time. But I didn't look at it and go like,
yeah,
the competing with PlayStation at last.
I still think it'll be a cross console release like Breath of the Wild was.
Yeah. It's hard not to get swept up in the excitement of like finally seeing this game, but to be honest, it's not a very good trailer. It's a very generic kind of trailer with just like some random gameplay moments that don't really tell us anything about the game. I mean, it looks like Metroid Prime, and I think for a lot of people that's good enough.
Yeah, I mean that's good enough for me. And I also think it's pretty impressive in general for all of these games. I think every single game we saw, maybe someone correct me on that, but I think everything we saw was a gameplay trailer. There was no just CGI stuff. So to not tell us anything about Metroid, not tell us anything for 17 years, or 7 years, and then show us a pretty decent chunk of gameplay. It wasn't like a vertical slice for 15 minutes, but it was a decent amount. I think on a technical level, that would give me a bit of hope. But yeah, I wasn't blown away by what I saw. I didn't come out of it going, that's really cool that we saw like this and this and that. It was just Metroid's here eventually.
Yeah.
But that was enough. And the fact that was the one more thing, not a new Zelda game, Metroid was the one more thing. At a Nintendo showcase where they showed off multiple Mario games and a new Zelda, where you play as Zelda, they made Metroid the closer. I think that's a big statement of intent as to how they see Metroid going, especially after Dread kind of sold okay. It was a kind of, this is going to be the big game, then it just kind of didn't hit as big as I think people were expecting. Prime, they are clearly gunning for as a big Nintendo franchise.
Well, at the very least, recognized the anticipation around
yes.
Like, gave it the spotlight here to be like, we know you've been waiting. So, yes, exciting. I think that the way the trailer starts out, that it looks like this very dynamic war scene, like bombs are dropping and stuff, and the actual pieces of the environment are like moving around. That is a new idea for Metroid, and it still has the scanner, so I think it's still going to have a piece of that like detective thing that I really like about Metroid Prime. So yeah, hyped. 2025 was a bit surprising. I thought this would be the holiday game, with this being the the end of the Switch and all. Now I can only assume that it's coming out at the beginning of the year, like, and then the next Switch is like spring.
Really? I saw this as being a launch title. I think this and Legend ZA are launches. I think Zelda's your holiday game. I don't know. That's based on nothing.
Well, Zelda's like September, but yeah.
Does Zelda have a firm date?
Brothership is the holiday game. Yeah,
Brothership's the holiday game. Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Wasn't there a game that they were like, this is in development for the next Nintendo Switch?
Pokemon, right?
It was Pokemon, yeah. It was Pokemon. Yeah, but they didn't do that here.
That's true. They didn't.
They've said it's Switch. Yeah.
The thing with
it could
Pokemon,
be both,
I guess,
I think
was Pokemon was before we knew the Switch 2 existed. They've been really weird about the Switch 2 thing. Just like a tweet on like a Wednesday morning saying, like, we're doing a Switch 2. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you about it for a while, just so you know.
Shut up asking about it.
In June, but don't ask about it in June. I'm not going to show it then. There's an odd rollout, but, Nintendo.
I guess I just figure the Switch came out in the spring. So the Super Switch will come out in the spring.
I think the next one will be spring. I think that's also when Pokemon and Metroid will hit.
Gotcha. Okay.
Based on nothing. I don't know what will be their 2025 like Q1 game.
I think the reason why I assumed Metroid Prime 4 was going to be this year as well, but we also had no clue that Nintendo had such a stacked lineup left for the Switch. So
yeah,
I'm not surprised they've gone, this has enough gravitas to move to 2025. Like, they've got enough of a year now, for sure.
Really, yeah. They did that with Kingdom Hearts, Fire Emblem at one point, didn't they? They had it, and they were just like, we had it ready for like months, and they specifically went for, I think it was a January launch or a December launch.
Was it Engage that was for?
Engage, yeah. It was a January launch, but we got sent, because I reviewed it, we got sent in December because I was playing over.
I remember.
But it was a January launch.
I know that there's going to be Mario Odyssey 2, right, or whatever, with the Super Switch. I'm just making up names. So, like, are they really going to be like, here's Mario Odyssey 2 and Metroid Prime 4? Like,
yeah, you're right.
That might not be the best strategy.
Yeah, Nintendo's consistently, I think for the past 3 or 4 years, had a September Direct as well, which I imagine they're going to show off the Switch 2, the Super Switch. So maybe then they'll have dates for things. Maybe then Prime will be there with a bit more, and they'll still like releasing February 2nd. Maybe then we'll get a date for it once they have a bit more that they can beef up for the Switch 2. Things Prime's not, but we have a Mario. We have a Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Kirby, Fire Emblem, a real Donkey Kong, Animal Crossing.
To your point, though, Stacey, them just putting 2025 at the end and not a date may suggest, like, well, if they had put a date, that would have been the date that the Switch 2 comes out.
That's true.
So that's a good point. That is a good point. I didn't think of that.
Or they literally still don't know. Or it's like every other game, and they're just like, probably next year.
Yeah. Every game at Xbox's showcase, which is 2025. At some point.
We'll figure it out later.
Fable's happening for sure. Definitely.
That's the show. I know that there was a stretch in there where we were like, I don't know. But, I mean, for the most part, I think that was like 10 things that were really cool. That's I don't know. Just, I know it's all personal preference, but like, I have not seen a Nintendo Direct this exciting in a long time. And the fact that, like we've said over and over, it's coming at the end of the Switch's life. It's just really surprising. What a cool show.
Yeah. I've been saying for a long time, I think this year is really Xbox's chance to do something, because PlayStation have said no first party games, and Nintendo seemed to be winding down for the Switch. And then PlayStation brought out Astro Bot, and Nintendo have got a new Zelda and a new Mario. So maybe not.
2025 is Xbox's year, yeah.
Really, really strong showing for it. I still think Xbox won the summer. I still prefer Xbox's showcase. But this is a really, really cool Nintendo showcase. Had a lot of interesting things in it, and had the Nintendo magic, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Just flowing through it.
Neat. George, any last thoughts? No.
Where's Kirby?
Kirby was in the championship.
Kid Icarus, that's what we need.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my god, that was I expected that. I was super...
Yeah, where's Hollow Knight?
Yeah, where's Kingdom Hearts 4? Right?
Right? Where was Tomb Raider in all this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm mad.
Oh, really?
All right, cool. That's it. We did it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode of the TG Roundtable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell, and visit us at thegamer.com. That's The Gamer. No spaces.